front tire pretty much regardless of the track, unless it just doesn't work at all. They'll stick with that same front end field is so
young guy Jackson Blackman, who's waiting to turn 14, and you know, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with once the time comes.
And that means that they will return to the grid ready to go racing. So away they go. This warm-up lap, Mike, how did you approach a warm-up lap? You want to be one of the first guys back?
Longer in the back, and the last half of the warm-up lap is slow, whereas you know, a lot of our races we back in the last couple of corners just to be able to apply some hard braking here to keep it in the tire. But other than that, you try to get to the grid spot. Everybody gets back there pretty quick.
No danger of losing heat out of the tires on a warm day like this. The track temperature is certainly a flag stand. And when those lights come on, it is a signal that the start is about to happen. When they go out, that is the start. And so the lights come on, the revs go up, and away we go. Looks like a good, clean start from the front row, and Joe Roberts, starting from pole position on the number 27, has got his head down. He's getting challenged up the inside by Travis Wyman, and Wyman can't make it work. Roberts, somebody gets pushed way wide out into the grass, losing a lot of spots. That's another tough break when you get out there in the front. It is Joe Roberts on the inside going into the hard left-hand turn, number 3. I think it's Travis Wyman in second position. We'll sort him out for you here in just a moment. Move for second place. Very quickly up into second goes Richie Escalante. Makes a move in turn 4. One of those sneaky passing zones that Aaron Stevenson talked about. Aaron Stevenson of Corner Speed. He gave me the real lowdown on this layout. Now, you've been here many, many times, Michael, and where are the spots on the track that you can, A, make a pass, B, gain time, and C, lose time?
Well, there's all sorts of sections here, but, you know, you'll definitely make up time through the S's. You know, you really got to keep your quarter speed and momentum up in this quarter. It's not a real point-shoot sort of a track. It's really about carrying your speed through the corner as much as possible.
Colin Edwards saying hello from the room next door as Joe Roberts out in front once again. We've gotten used to seeing this. Richie Escalante had to make a pass into second position, but now trying to close a 4 or 5 bike length gap on a flying Joe Roberts is not an easy task. Escalante has been equal to it several times in the past. At Road Atlanta when it was wet, here yesterday when it was dry. He closes up a little bit on braking, and we've got 4 riders essentially who have gotten away. They include Joe Roberts, Richie Escalante, Travis Wyman, and Bryce Prince. They have been pretty much the main players in our Bajaj Superstock 600 class so far this year.
One of the really important places on this track would be exiting the hog pen coming onto the front straightaway. That's like so huge for being mile an hour up the front straightaway. You don't get a good drive out of there. It's all up the front straightaway.
And they do have a speed trap set up there. And interestingly enough, for these Superstock 600 bikes, they're almost as fast to the mile an hour as the Super Sport machines that preceded them, 153.6 miles an hour. We actually look a little bit further down the order and we see 159 miles an hour by Cody Wyman. He probably had about a 9-bike draft to do that.
And especially in the first couple of laps, you're going to get a good tow off a few bikes in front of you, and those mile an hours are going to be a little higher than normal.
Evenly spaced around the track right now, maybe 5-6 bike lengths between first, second, third, and fourth. And so no real action yet. They have lined up in order, 5th and 6th place, Andy DeBrino and J.C. Camacho. They're trying to get across the gap to make it 6 bikes up front. But right now it's kind of a 4-rider breakaway led by Joe Roberts, the 3-time winner this season so far.
It's really interesting to see as the race goes on here, what Escalante plans on doing compared to yesterday. And also see if Bryce Prince can hang in there a little bit longer.
Well, plan A would have to be to keep Joe Roberts closer. He has won races by huge margins. He won yesterday by 2.5 seconds, I think, was the margin between first and second place. And so I think job one is to try to stay close. We've got a rider down over there. It looks like maybe outside the turn 1 area. And I'm going to say that might be right. Well, can't get a number right just quickly. We'll wait to hear from race control and see who the rider is that's down. The rider's up and okay. The bike itself still lying there, and whether it continues or not remains to be seen. Oh, Gavin Elstead. Okay, Gavin Elstead, possibly on the number 159. We'll check that and check that for you. In any case, among our leaders, it is still Joe Roberts. It is still Richie Escalante, Travis Wyman, and Bryce Prince. Looking up at our scoring monitor, and the gaps, no real gains by Andy Dobrino and J.C. Camacho. They may end up racing alone for 5th and 6th. Roberts seems to be stretching it out a little bit, and we've seen this movie before.
Yeah, Escalante was pretty much lap by last lap, and in this lap, Roberts is about 0.3 faster, and Travis Wyman bumped it up to the best of his last lap, and he's trying to hang on to that duo up front as well as Bryce Prince.
About 0.6 of a second between Joe Roberts and Richie Escalante here with 3 laps in the books out of 18. So 15 laps to go. And Joe Roberts is doing what Joe Roberts does. Hits his marks. We saw this earlier. That was a little bit of a wiggle out of his bike right there, but he gathered it up no problem. And we saw J.D. Beach do the same thing. Just hit those marks every time. Just put those laps together. He's doing 127.6. That is super sport lap time. So is Escalante. We saw J.D. Beach doing low 27s, even a high 26. But Joe Roberts nearly matching the lap times of super sport winner J.D. Beach.
Joe really seems to be wanting to get away from Richie at this point. He did a really fast split, and he's really got the hammer down, so he's really trying to make some real estate between him and second place.
You know, there's a couple of different ways to ride a race. One is from the front, like this, to try to control the race from the front, to just get out there and set a pace and more or less dare anybody to be able to keep up with you. The other is to kind of shadow that leading rider and watch and look and see if you can observe any weakness in their plan. Joe Roberts doesn't really give anybody much of a chance to follow him around for long anyway.
Either doing everything you can to stay with the guy or
Joe Roberts,
huge out of turn 1.
He almost saved it, but almost doesn't count. Joe Roberts, this is the mistake that the other riders were perhaps waiting for. Roberts coming out of turn 2 has tossed the bike away. He's holding his head just absolutely distraught at having made that mistake. Apparently the bike is too damaged to continue. He's going to walk off the racetrack, and we have a wide open Superstock 600 race now because the man who has dominated this series of 3 out of 3 wins is out of the race with 14 laps to go. Richie Escalante inherits the lead. Travis Wyman is right there with him, and now everybody gets a new fresh breath of life here. Whoa, Escalante almost makes a mistake. It tosses him out of the race, too, but he manages to gather it up there in turn 9.
Yeah, he just had a little head shake coming through the end of the S's there as he was getting off the throttle, and Travis is really making some time up on him, not only because of that little wobble, but the incident prior with Joe really got Richie to let off the gas a little bit, so Travis is right in there, and he's renewed now. He's going for the win.
Yeah, well, we've got a brand new race and even a brand new season, because no points for Joe Roberts means he's going to tumble down the points championship order, and it gives Richie Escalante an opportunity. Roberts had a 22-point lead, so he's not likely to fall very far down the order. 25 points for a win, so he'll essentially give up 25 points. If Escalante is able to win this race, he'll take over the championship lead, or Travis. And in that case, Joe Roberts might fall as far back as 3rd in the championship, but no further. It's not a disaster, but it certainly has given this season a whole new look. Travis Wyman. Now we've got to watch Wyman versus Escalante to see now. Richie Escalante is in a different position than he has been in any of the races so far. He's the one out front. He's the one being chased, and Wyman seems to be closing the gap. Seven-tenths of a second on the clock, but it's not that much on the racetrack right now. I think it's definitely down to maybe 3 or 4 tenths. Travis Wyman, he sees that rabbit out in front, and he's definitely putting on a chase. Down the hill they come. Richie Escalante from Mexico on the number 54. Travis Wyman on the number 24 out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Up the front straightaway. It'll be 12 laps to go.
Less than a second separate first and second as they come across the front straightaway finish line, and Escalante on the brakes hard into turn one. Here comes Travis trying to match him into the infield.
Closes up a little bit of ground on corner entry. Escalante with a good drive off that corner. Here's where Joe Roberts left the building. And Escalante now with the lead is in a little bit of unfamiliar territory, at least as it relates to races here. Certainly during the course of his career he has led races, but this is the first time this season he gets a chance, an opportunity to control the pace from the front.
Out of that first and second battle, slightly out of sight of it, and he's in third. And Wyatt Ferris not too far behind in fourth place, followed by Andy DeBrino.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting race now with Joe Roberts out. You know, we have settled into almost a foregone conclusion mode when Roberts starts putting the kind of gaps into these riders that he did. But one mistake changes everything. Joe Roberts now on the sideline watching this one as Richie Escalante and Travis Wyman do battle. And here is probably the most interesting scenario. What can Bryce Prince do in third position? What kind of lap times is he turning compared to the leaders? Last time around it was a 28.0 for Escalante, 29.0 for Travis Wyman, and 29.3 for Bryce Prince. That tells us that it would be spreading out a little bit, but I'm sure these guys have a different idea.
First and second, Richie and Travis both at a 29.0.
Oh, sorry, yep.
29.3. So, yeah, they're getting about 2 or 3 tenths a lap on Bryce and really kind of making it work for them.
But Travis Wyman, at least on camera, appears to be closing that gap. It hasn't been borne out at the start-finish line on timing and scoring yet, but he certainly looks a little closer than he was before. And you know, when you're chasing somebody, you've got just a little bit of extra incentive out there. You just try to draw up just a little bit closer each lap. Escalante doing a great job, though, of riding a nice rhythm out in front. He hasn't really varied his lines or his lap times at all. He seems to be just as capable of leading this race as Joe Roberts was.
Yeah, let's see if Travis can get a little bit of a smoother drive out of the hog pen. I saw a little wiggle last lap, so if he can smooth that out and get a good drive out of there, see how close he is to Escalante coming up the front straightaway. See if it'll be different than last lap.
Here goes Escalante up onto the front straightaway, tucks in behind the bubble. Wyman a little bit better looking that time, and indeed he is closer. Last time around it was half a second, and this time 3/10, so he definitely gained a little bit that time. That's what he's got to continue doing, just make those little bitty gains till he can get up behind Escalante, watch him closely for a while, and then go racing.
Certain parts of this track that pay dividends, and there's one in particular. It comes to get a good drive out of that last corner and made up 2 tenths on that one.
Through the S's right now, and Wyman is definitely right there behind him at this point, not close enough to make any sort of a move, but it's probably too early to make a move. He needs to stay there and just sort of study what's going on and feel what he's doing and settle into that middle third of the race that Freddie Spencer, who I worked with for so many years, would talk about. The first third, you make your push. The middle third, you kind of settle. The last third, you know, you settle and assess the situation. The last third, you act upon what you've assessed and try to make that push to win. Very impressed with that Richie Escalante. We've seen him chasing Joe Roberts. Now we're seeing him leading a race. He seems to be equally capable of both.
Yeah, they head down to the S's towards the big hog pen corner onto the front straightaway, and they're a lot closer than they were last lap.
Here comes Travis Wyman down the hill behind Escalante and onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, it looks like a mirror image of last lap. They're just as same distance as they were last lap, maybe a little bit different. We're coming up on it now.
Yeah, 0.38 last time, 0.41, 0.03 of a second. Let's call that the same. But Travis Wyman definitely closes up under braking, but he seems to give up. Whoa, and now Wyman pops up out of the saddle. Same place that bit Joe Roberts. Travis Wyman, he managed to stay on 2 wheels, but he was up out of the saddle and looking at his number plate.
He sure was. That was a good save by Travis, and he's going to try to regather it and see if he can make up the difference again. He still has halfway to go.
Richie Escalante definitely benefited from that mistake by Travis Wyman, not quite as much as he benefited by Joe Roberts' mistake, but now Wyman is going to be back probably a second and a half, maybe more. Richie Escalante will see a very different pit board when he comes by. It probably showed him +0. He might get a +1 this time.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. He's got at least a second on him now, and he's looking really strong. He's got a little bit of an aggressive style, so he might be doing his mid-range push right now.
Richie Escalante on the number 54. Again, out of Tizuaca, Mexico. It's going to be hard for me to pronounce that one. A self-sponsored Escalante Racing Yamaha YZF-R6. Tizuaca. There we go. Tizuaca, Mexico. And
as they come by the front straightaway, Richie Escalante still with a good solid 2-second lead over Travis Wyman at the moment. And Travis lost quite a bit of time on that fumble out of turn 1 last lap.
Yeah, and Bryce Prince losing time as well, so it's kind of a processional race right now. There is, however, a very good battle going on for 4th place. Wyatt Ferris, Jason Aguilar, Chris Crossland, and Andy DeBrino are all right together. About 9 seconds further back, it's Nick McFadden. He's got company, lots of it too. He's got Curtis Murray, Connor Blevins, and Michael Gilbert for company. So we do have some good battles going on the racetrack that we believe that you fans out there are enjoying as we continue to watch the leader, Richie Escalante. And he has not put a wheel wrong yet here today. And as we hit lap number 10 of 18, he'll come around with 7 laps to go next time. Richie Escalante has ridden a flawless race, letting others make the mistakes and reaping the rewards. Down the hill. Very fast part of the racetrack. Probably a very fun part of the racetrack, too, I would imagine, Michael Barnes.
Oh, absolutely. This is a really, really fun track. That's probably one of my favorite sections on the racetrack, is coming down that hill, setting up for that hog pen onto the front straightaway. It really flows well, and it's just like a roller coaster. A lot of fun.
Escalante across the start-finish line again. 7 laps to go. 128.9. 129.1 for Wyman. 2.2 seconds. Travis has probably got to be thinking about that big rodeo ride, or a little rodeo ride that he took there, and maybe he's just backed off his pace a tiny little bit.
He's still within sight. He hasn't backed off too much. He really doesn't want to let him go, and he's hoping that maybe Escalante might make him, have a little bobble that'll allow him to catch back up. But, right now, Richie Escalante is looking really strong and smooth, and he's looking hard to beat. The last lap he was a second faster, and the previous lap now Travis. We'll see what this next lap brings, because right now it's looking like Richie Escalante is stretching him out little by little.
Yeah, he's definitely taken advantage of the big lead he was handed, and now he's working on it, making it even bigger. Richie Escalante is just doing a terrific job as he once again heads down the hill towards the hog pen in front of a great, nice crowd of spectators down there along the fence and in the grandstands. Oh, he had a little moment right there, wiggled it pretty big and hard. Probably didn't lose a lot of time, but it was a definite moment for Escalante as he came down. Now we go back to Bryce Prince in 3rd position. Bryce Prince not really making any inroads into the gap in front of him, but he doesn't have to worry too much about guys behind him. Here's that 4-way battle for 5th place, led by 4th place, led by Wyatt Ferris with Chris Crossland from the TOBC team that we just interviewed Michelle Lindsay up here a little while ago. Chris Crossland with some sponsorship from Performance Riding Experience as well. Crossland doing a really good job. This is his home track as he is from nearby Raleigh, North Carolina. And he's involved in this little 4-way battle for 4th place.
Yeah, it seems to have stretched out a little bit. It was a nice tight battle, and then we're going to sit in between each rider now. So see if somebody can make some inroads here.
Well, those lap times, it's hard to argue again. The stopwatch doesn't lie, and when you can put a lap time down that's 1/10 of a second quicker than the guy behind you, in 10 laps you're going to have a second lead. It's just it's kind of that simple. We would like for it to be such that guys could close big gaps like that and make a race out of it. But the fact is, once you get into a rhythm and you're able to put down a lap time, the math just begins to add up. For Richie Escalante, he was handed about a second and a half of the lead that he has right now, but he's since turned it into a 2.5 second lead, and that's all by his own doing.
And those tenths of a second really count. You figure out how to get a tenth of a second in each one of those corners on this racetrack, and that's 1.3 seconds. Could make all the difference in the world in a race, catching or losing time.
Coming up on 4 laps to go. They've just crossed the line with 5. Here he goes through the slowest corner on the racetrack. Hard left-hand turn through the S's. And then with MotoGP at Indy and with World Superbike at Laguna, it just goes on and on. A great season is shaping up here. There is Richie Escalante on the number 54. He looks so relaxed and so competent and capable. He's not, he doesn't have an aggressive body posture. He just has a very relaxed, easy way of getting around the racetrack. He's got to start concentrating a little bit on lap riders, but that may be, just something. All he's had to look at is and made up 14 spots to get back into it, just around the 20th position. Let's see, we've got it on here where he finished. He finished in 17th place after coming back onto the track in turn number 1, dead last. So tough second day of racing here for Ryan Jones. We had a chance to talk to Jerry Glass, the team owner, up here for quite a while this morning, and what a great story that they put that brand new team together into the MotoAmerica paddock here, bringing Honda CBR 600 and CBR 1000 equipment. Danny Eslick, of course, finishing 5th overall in the first race, and we're looking forward to race number 2. Richie Escalante is doing the business here, coming up on 2 laps to go. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him again. As he comes onto the front straightaway, he should be able to line them up pretty easy. It'll be 2 laps to go. Two laps remaining in this one, and the flag stands are pretty busy, waving the blue flags to the riders that Escalante is catching. Now he's got to be careful not to make a mistake, not to let a rider lure him into some sort of error. The rider that's in front of him right now, he's made a nice clean pass on. You'll see riders do some things differently. Some of them will sit up, move over, and let the leader go by. Some continue racing. As long as they hold their line, Escalante can deal with them. Michael Barnes, coming up on lap traffic is kind of a blessing and a curse sometimes. At least you're doing a pretty good job, but it can be a little shaky trying to get around a guy in front of you.
When you're in the lead, the worst that can happen is you're going to lose a little bit. When you're in second and you lose a little bit more towards the end of the race, it's really disheartening sometimes. So it's really just trying to set those guys up ahead of time and really think out your pass ahead of time.
Solidly in that spot. Then you got Bryce Prince, but Wyatt Ferris is not far behind, only a second back from Bryce Prince. So, and Wyatt Ferris actually has taken over at the start-finish line. It was a 1-second margin, but Wyatt Ferris has chased down Bryce Prince and taken 3rd place away from the number 74 rider. So a change of position onto the podium for Wyatt Ferris here with 1 lap to go.
I don't know what happened to Bryce, but he did a 31.2 on the last lap. Wyatt Ferris was 39.7, so he lost a second and a half on that last lap, and that really allowed Ferris to now contend for that 3rd place.
Well, we have to say it probably was some kind of mistake on the part of Bryce Prince, and he must have gotten popped up out of the saddle or run a little wide in one of the corners. In any case, here comes Richie Escalante into turn number 10 and down the hill for the last time in the race anyway. He'll come down that hill one more time, celebrating with the crowd here at Virginia International Raceway. Richie Escalante onto the front straightaway and to the checkered flag, picks up his first win of the season to go along with a pair of runner-up finishes and a fourth place. Richie Escalante putting himself firmly into the championship chase with a win here at VIR. Congratulations to the young man from Mexico picking up his first win here on American soil in the MotoAmerica Series.
Viva Mexico today for Richie Escalante.
No question about it. Checkered flag waving and confirmation. Travis Wyman in second position. Wyatt Ferris indeed makes the pass to take third and get on the podium. Bryce Prince will hold fourth. And waiting for the rest to come. Chris Crossland will be fifth. Good finish for the young man on the 409. Andy DeBrino in sixth. And then it should be Jason Aguilar, indeed. Nick McFadden, eighth. Michael Gilbert and Curtis Murray should round out the top 10 as they come across the line, and they do. Connor Blevins in 11th spot. Joe Giannato coming through in 12th place. Jay Newton 13th. Cody Wyman just finished in 14th spot. We should see Jeremy Simmons momentarily. CJ LaRoche, who had a tough outing in the first race. Casey Tobolewski and Timothy Wilson. Then Ann Roberts is going to finish in 19th position here. We had a chance to talk with her. And likewise, female competitor Patricia Fernandez appears as though she will finish in 23rd spot here today. And with that, Richie Escalante, Travis Wyman, and Wyatt Ferris will be our honorees on the victory podium. And we invite you to join us there in Victory Lane, where Jonathan Green will conduct the ceremony. I'd like to thank Michael Barnes for joining me up here in the booth. It's always a pleasure, Barney, to have you around and to help call a race. A rare pleasure indeed. It should happen more often, my friend. All right, Michael Barnes helping me out up here for the Superstock 600 race. A great performance by Richie Escalante. A tough day for Joe Roberts. He's 3 for 4 now, and of course, there's a long season yet to come. We'll see you on the victory podium. Join us there, won't you? All right.
Hey! Right here.
And what's it like for you to come over to the States and race within this American Series?
Yes, USA is the rider, big. So happy.
Congratulations once again.
Thanks, man.
Good stuff.
And a little bit of history in the making here, ladies and gentlemen. The first Mexican national to win at the A.M.A. level. Let's hear it for Richie Escalante! Team represented by Pablo Escalante, who happens to be a champion himself, and of course, the father of Richie Escalante. I'd like to call on Mark Christian of the A.M.A. FIM North America to hand out the prizes. Starting with third place, Wyatt Ferris. In second place, Travis Wyman. And the team's trophy to Pablo Escalante. And your winner, and now leader. leading the championship in the Superstock 600s from Mexico, one and only Richie Escalante. All right, now let's get up here and talk to my man. He's been pushing Joe Roberts all the way. Today it's his turn on top. Now his English is getting better. My Spanish understanding is getting better, so I think we should do both. What do you think? Tell me about your race and tell me about your first win on American soil, the first Mexican to win here in the A.M.A.
Yeah, I'm very happy. The race has been so good. This weekend is perfect. The race, the sun is so difficult in the tire, and the sliding all time, and the constant and finish the race, no? Roberts crash and pushing to my rims on me. Thanks my team, sponsors, family y bueno, a todos mis amigos mexicanos que están aquí y a todo México. Muy contento y see you next race.
Muy contento, see you next race. Richie Escalante, let's hear it one more time. America site and get on and follow these guys. They need your support. Woo!